That's the time that'll be on the watch of Brad Gray, who joins us out of Sydney. Brad, thanks for joining us on the Punters Lounge this morning. Good morning. And once again, any day that Winx goes around, there's a bit of a buzz in the air, isn't there?
Yeah, good morning, Aidan. You're 100% right. No matter how many times you see her win her races, obviously I only got the audio there of that replay, but she still gives you goosebumps. She's won 26 times straight, and you just can't get enough of her. And she'll win again today, and she should do by a comfortable margin. So yeah, can't wait to see her. As you said, the weather's fantastic. The rail back in the true for the first time in 8 weeks, so we should have a really fair track. No excuses there, and a cracking day in Sydney at the moment. The sun's blaring.
Exactly, Brad. I know, like as all of us are, you know, you're a race fan. You get to Randwick this afternoon. Where will you be when she parades?
I'll be right there in the parade. Lucky enough to obviously have access to being part of the media team, but as part of that, it's a real challenge because every time she goes around, you've got to try and come up with a new angle to try and cover it in terms of the story goes. So, as you touched on, everything that she's done, it's already been said. So there's no more questions we can ask of Chris Waller. So we just presented it as it is and let the mare do the talking.
Yeah, as she's done so many times before. That record is incredible, isn't it? 37 starts. Well, it would be a 37th start today, having won 30 of them. She dominates this market as well at 112. But there's obviously markets without her in it. How do you play this race? Do you bet into the Winx removed market, Brad, or what's your approach to betting the race?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Originally, I was really keen on Unforgotten in the Winx out market, but of course she's been scratched this morning to keep her nice and fresh going into the Epsom, where she carries just 52.5. Should be a big chance there and probably start favourite. That leaves us in a real conundrum. I'm not sure where to look to as far as betting out with her. Maybe you look towards the Godolphin horse, It's Somewhat. I think it'll be big odds, and it was okay there in the Chelmsford. Of course, we know his quality. He has won at Doncaster in the past. Ace High is right there. You're going to have Le Romain as the favourite in the Winx out, but there's just a little query on him, given he was a little bit flat in the tramway, but there's no denying his quality either. So, yeah, it's really up in the air as far as who runs second here, but there's no doubt in terms of who will be running first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think we just sort of watch and enjoy that spectacle. Maybe we need another race to make money. Where have you gone for your best of the day, Brett?
Best of the day is race 8, the Kingston Town Stakes. Now, Avilius, this is a horse that's come across from overseas. It's joined the Godolphin yard in Australia with James Cummings and really hit the ground running. Generally, that's a really good sign of a horse's quality. He came over with a bit of reputation, of course, running second at Cracksman, but he's shown a really devastating turn of foot in both of his starts here. First up over a mile, then last start there in the Premier's Cup. And what I loved about this win is in a matter of strides, he goes from looking like he's in a bit of trouble here. He went around really short odds, $1.70. You think he's in a bit of trouble. As soon as he sees clear air, he just puts them to the sword, lets down like a really good horse. And if you've got a turn of foot like this and you're a middle distance horse, that takes you a long, long way. I think he is a Group 1 winner in waiting in Australia, and I wouldn't be surprised if eventually he does get to wait for age company. So I'm happy to back him with a bit of confidence until he reaches that level. He'll go to the Metrop next start and should be going very close there. But I think we can back him with plenty of confidence today. Should get the right run. And his turn of foot is absolutely outstanding.
Brad, before we move you on to your other best bet, we've got Patrick Aaron, a former Kiwi in that race. Just want to get your thoughts on him and also Santa Catarina in the T-Rose Stakes. How are you assessing the Kiwis?
Yeah, so Patrick Aaron, he's an interesting runner here to assess because his first up run was excellent, over 1,400 metres. And as you guys know better than anyone, he's a horse that can get out to 2 miles. He has had 4 weeks in between runs, so he's only second up here out to 2,000 metres. He missed the run last start in the Chelmsford, where he was emergency over the mile. But I don't think that's such a bad thing because I imagine that he still has that freshness in his legs to be able to really sprint over the 2,000 metres. If he was here third up, there's probably a query that he could have flattened off a bit. So I expect him to run really well. He maps well from barrier 4, Tommy Berry on board. I think he'll run a really cheeky race at odds. The other one I found it a little bit harder to line up. Obviously, a first time out to this kind of trip. It certainly does look to suit her, the Savabeel filly. She has a bit of gate speed, and the trick with this race, I think, is the map, because there's not a lot of speed. You'll have Simi leading, but there's a spot there up for grabs outside of Simi. So maybe they ride this filly that you spoke about, Santa Catarina, really positively and put it right in the race. But I've learnt my lesson long enough now looking at these Kiwis and assessing them that when a 3-year-old filly is sent over to Sydney, certainly respect it because they tend to measure up time after time.
Yeah, currently at $11 in our market. That market headed by Fiesta and Pretty in Pink. I think you had another one for us to look at in race 9, Brad. What was that?
Yeah, one is a bit of value. Race 9, number 9, Manhattan Miss. Should get about $8, $9 about this Kim War train gelding. It's never finished worse than second in 7 career starts. And I think it slipped under the radar a little bit here. It'll go up on speed, make its own luck, and I think it'll run a bit of a race for you at some odds. So with a bit of luck, hopefully we can get a couple across the line, a couple of winners, and then enjoy the spectacle that Winx will put on.
Brilliant. Thanks for joining us here on the Punters Lounge live as always, Brad. And yeah, enjoy the spectacle, as you say, of Winx this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks, Aidan. Looking forward to it.
It's Brad Gray coming in from Sydney, and yeah, so much to look forward to with the Winx, Santa Catarina, and also Patrick Aaron. Here's Brad's best again, Avelius in race 8, and he's liking in race 9 Manhattan Mist, and also at a $14 quote, race 3, number 7, Instant Derive.